Hello, and welcome to the first section of our semester-long workshop series, Collaborative Faculty Partnerships. I'm Cynthia Kitchen, Director of Library Services. This is our third year of offering a workshop series to the UMA community. We have several other presentations and workshops coming up this fall on a variety of topics. I'll talk more about those at the end. Recordings, as always, will be available on our YouTube channel. Today's session is called Open and Inclusive: Practical OER Strategies for Faculty. My plan is to share practical strategies for finding, evaluating, and using OER, or open educational resources, to support diverse student needs, while also maintaining academic quality. Here's a look at our current textbook landscape. As you can see, it's rather bleak. 82% of college students have skipped purchasing required course materials due to cost. 65% delayed or didn't buy required textbooks because of price, and nearly 90% of students in one study reported additional stress related to textbook costs and cited negative impacts on grades, retention, and time to graduation. So in this session, we're going to talk about how using open educational resources, or OER, can lessen the textbook burden on students. Here's our workshop agenda. I'll start by defining open educational resources, mention some reasons to consider using them in your courses. We'll look at how to find OER, how to evaluate them, and determine if they meet your course needs. We'll look at ways to use them in your course, and I'll finish by talking about the ways the libraries and learning experience designers support faculty to move toward using OER in courses, as well as our current OER initiative at UMA. UMA defines open educational resources as freely available educational materials that are either in the public domain, meaning creative works to which no intellectual property rights apply, or materials that have been created with an open license, for example, a Creative Commons license, which makes the materials available in terms of the 5 R's: retain, reuse, revise, remix, and redistribute. It also includes our library resources, an example being a link to an ebook chapter, and publicly available web resources, such as a YouTube video. Examples of OER include quizzes, games, open textbooks, even full courses. OER allow for continual improvement of content, so instead of waiting years for the next edition of a textbook, faculty can update and refine materials as needed. That means courses stay current and responsive to student feedback. They also provide up-to-date materials. In fast-moving fields, it's especially important to keep examples, case studies, and references fresh. With OER, instructors can adapt on their own timeline instead of relying on publishers. Similar to the other two, OER can give greater educator ownership. Instructors decide what stays, what gets cut, and what gets added. You're not locked into a publisher's choices. You shape the content to match your teaching and your students. Levels the playing field for all students. All students, regardless of financial status, have access to course materials. When thinking about traditional OER, we think about the 5 R's. Traditional OER allow you to do the following: retain, which is the right to make and control copies of the content; reuse, the right to use the content in a wide range of ways, such as in a class, in a study group, on a website; revise, the right to adapt, modify, or alter the content. An example could be translating the content into another language. Remix, the right to combine the one content item with another content open item to create something new. So you might incorporate chapters from multiple books into one book. And redistribute, the right to share copies of the content with others. And we'll look at an example of traditional OER later, but just remember, at UMA, we also include library resources and general websites as OER, because they technically don't cost students anything to use them. The 5 R's don't apply in those cases, since library resources don't have an open license on them, but certainly linking to a library resource in a course is completely fine. So what makes this free sharing of materials all possible? Why are we allowed to use resources created by someone else in this way? It's because either the resources are in the public domain or have a Creative Commons license on them. Creative Commons is a set of free licenses that let authors decide how others can use, share, and build upon their work. It's similar to copyright, but you retain the ownership of your work and you determine how your work can be shared. This isn't necessarily the case if you publish work in an official journal. Often you turn over ownership to the journal. And I'm not going to go too in depth on the individual licenses available, but I'm happy to talk through it after the presentation if you want more information. Making your research openly licensed through Creative Commons means it can reach more people who don't have access to expensive publications. It fosters collaboration with other scholars in your field, and it increases your work's impact by reaching way more people than traditional publishing. We talked about these a bit earlier, so I won't spend a ton of time, but items with a Creative Commons license on them allow you to remove chapters you don't need, add your own examples, activities, or case studies to a resource, adjust language for your students' reading level, translate into another language, combine multiple OER into one custom resource. Let's look at an example of what it could look like to remix or combine multiple sources. I have each of these open in a different tab, which I'll show. In this example, a professor may be interested in teaching about the ethics with technology and all that it involves. A possible way to remix resources is to use a textbook in Open Textbook Library about tech ethics. Here's the example. Then maybe grab assignment ideas and other resources from the MIT OpenCourseWare class on ethics and technology. And since we want to ensure AI is included in the conversation, we could pull in a chapter or two from the new open book, Fostering AI Literacy. So I'd encourage you to think about this in your context and field. What could combining resources look like for your courses? How does using open materials benefit you? First, all students have immediate access to materials on day one. No delay waiting on some to purchase the textbook. You can make or adapt content to be customized to your needs and learning objectives. You have ownership of the content you create forever. You don't need to move to a new edition unless you choose to. You could also easily update things needed with the help of generative AI. Many OER repositories have a peer review process, so you know you're offering quality academic materials. UMA libraries can support your OER work. We're happy to partner with you to think through moving away from traditional textbooks. Our work includes consultation with learning experience designers to assist with course design of new course content. Our OER guide is a great place to start. The image is a screenshot of the website. Here you'll find a list of OER repositories, open textbook websites, Creative Commons license information, and information about UMA's OER honorarium program. And I'll demo this website at the end. When considering which OER will fit your course needs, consider the following questions. What materials are free and available to our students? What materials will best meet the curriculum needs of the course? In most cases, this will be a combination of traditional OER, library resources, and websites. Once you've selected possible course materials, be sure to evaluate them with these criteria in mind. Quality. Is the content accurate, up to date, and written at the level for my students? Relevance. Does it align with my course objectives, and is it relevant for students today? Accessibility. Is it usable with screen readers, captioned, and mobile friendly? Representation. Does the content reflect diverse perspectives and voices? License. Does it have an open license and allow you to use, adapt, and share as needed? Again, this won't be a criteria for library resources and general websites. One of the biggest strengths of OER is the chance to make materials more accessible to all students. When choosing or adapting OER, it's important to ask, can a screen reader handle this? Are videos captioned? Are images labeled with alt text so learners can engage? Can students access materials on different devices, such as a cell phone? Accessibility isn't just a legal requirement, it's a core part of equity. Making sure everyone can actually use the materials from day one is key to inclusive teaching. Generative AI can be helpful in OER work. These are a few ways it can help. Using Gen AI to assist can speed up creation of open educational resources, things like developing course outlines and lecture scripts. It can help with generating assessment ideas for your course. Generative AI can support accessibility, giving you alt text for images or simplifying content. It helps you personalize content, tailoring materials to your learners' needs or levels. Facilitate more interactive learning experiences using chatbots, virtual agents, or intelligent tutoring systems. And we've seen this happening at UMA with the recent addition of the chatbot Augie. Librarians and LXDs support faculty with finding resources and with course design of your new content. The best part, we're often able to provide compensation for these efforts. We also received a grant this year from the New England Board of Higher Education to advance OER at UMA by creating a course designation in the catalog for courses that have a low-cost or zero-cost textbook associated with them. So what could OER look like in your course? The screenshot on the left shows how one faculty member used electronic reserves, or e-reserves, from our library to supplement materials in the course. The articles are all from the library's collection. The screenshot on the right shows how one instructor used a TED Ed video in their writing course. The cool thing about all of this is that we see the variety of places where we can collect course materials. As you heard, the feedback from the philosophy instructor is that they built a Brightspace module on the nature of land. It brought together teachings from John Locke, indigenous philosophy from Christopher Vexi, and Aldo Leopold. That mix of perspectives isn't something that's possible in a traditional textbook. Using OER made it possible for students to engage with more perspectives than they might otherwise see. To wrap up, I want to leave you with 3 easy ways to get started. First, explore the UMA OER guide. It's a great starting point with OER repositories and librarian contacts. Second, try something small. Replace one reading or resource in your course with an open resource and see how it goes. And third, connect with us. Librarians and LXDs are here to support you in integrating OER into your course design. The goal isn't to overhaul everything at once, but take manageable steps that improve affordability, access, and inclusivity for your students. We have a number of faculty workshops this fall. Our upcoming workshops include research skills in course design, a session on copyright and fair use, as well as a workshop on using streaming films in your courses. I hope you'll join us for these. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Reach out at uma.edu/library.